Hello, Justice! It is a fantastically beautiful day, and I figured maybe I'd actually record using natural sunlight for once instead of a random conglomeration of lights to try to get normal lighting. Unfortunately, it means you can see how messy my room is, but fortunately means I can overlook and see all the graffiti. Oh, cut to that, by the way. Not to record my thing for the day. Actually, I'm going to record this end. This is Alex, by the way.
Hey, I'm Alex.
Yeah, I help him run a podcast. But before I shoot, CBS News for Austin just showed up, and across the way, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh wait, yeah, is that a
RSF?
sickle and hammer, dude?
That's a sickle and hammer, but I don't understand why it's there.
What's on the wall?
Also a sickle and hammer, or maybe that's the... I think that's the Revolutionary Student Front.
Honestly, that looks like Timmy Turner.
What?
Do you see it?
Now I see it, now that you say that. Yeah, so, drama may be happening at UT Austin, but I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want to get sued. But today we're talking about something entirely different, which has also led to a number of lawsuits, but that's a different part of the question. Do you have the right to yourself when you are dead? That's a bit of a way to put it. The root of this question, or what I'm really wanting to ask today, is opt-in systems or opt-out systems? There's two ways in this world currently to do an organ donation system. You have opt-in, where everyone, by default, no one is an organ donor until they, go in, register, and get it put on their ID card. I'm not stupid. I covered up some things. But, whenever they get their ID card at the age of about 18, whether or not they can become an organ donor, in which case they can put on a very small list for a very small amount of people. Or you do the other thing, which is popular in some Scandinavian countries, but not as popular in other places. For instance, the UK tried to pass it recently, and they failed to. Called an opt-out system, where everyone, by default, you are an organ donor. Should you pass and should you die, your organs will go to someone else, hopefully, assuming that they manage it correctly. But that brings in a good question, right? Like, to the morality of it, and also to the effectiveness of it. If you have an opt-out system, that's fantastic. You suddenly have dramatically more organ donors available, because people tend to not want to go through the methods and the processes of opting in, but they also don't tend to want to go through the methods and processes of opting out. To put it in perspective, Germany has an opt-in system, and they have about 12% of their people actually are organ donors. But Austria has an opt-out system, but over 99%, actually it's 99.98%, Sigma 2, right? Lean Sigma 2, people are still organ donors, right? That's a dramatic increase in organ donation rates. It's fantastic and could save tens of thousands of lives, maybe even hundreds of thousands. And yes, I'll admit that most people's organs, when they're donated, most people's organs don't effectively get to wherever they need to be, but in most systems they do. In the United States, 95% of all... What the heck? In the United States, 95% of all organs that are donated end up being effectively used. They go off to whoever needs it. That means only 1 in 20 organ donations fail. Or, they're lost, or they don't work, or they can't get to someone in time. But that's a fantastic rate. If you tell me 19 out of 20 times someone gets an organ on time without having to go to a second, that's fine. Because that 1 out of 20th, they'll go to a second. But the donation list is small. People know the donation list is small. In the United States, we have a 45% organ donation rate, which is kind of incredible for a country that has an opt-in system, but points to a larger issue here. We totally could have a much higher adoptive rate. Even though it's still 45%, 21 people die every single day due to organs that are not donated, or needing an organ transplant. So, theoretically, if we had a higher ratio like that in Alaska has 80%, right? In Alaska, much fewer people die from missing an organ transplant than they do in the rest of the United States. Or say, for instance, in Florida, where it's about in New York, 12%. So it definitely does help that people are donating, right? You can't say that, it's a distance problem because Alaska has a much larger distance than New York does, but they still have less people die. It's a ratio issue here. If we had more people in, say for instance, if we did have an opt-out system, then you could have so many people being saved by organs that they need. Look, that's 21 people every day. Yeah, that's 1 for every 4 car crash victims, but a lot of those who are on the list who get organ donations also are car crash victims, so it works out overall. And this would also save a lot of lost man hours. And I hate to be so prudent to think this, but a lot of people will recover faster if they get their organs faster. And that sounds obvious when you say it out loud, but it's a thing that we're not really able to prioritize because we don't have an opt-out system. Our effective organ donor rate is too low for us to justify making sure everything's about speed as opposed to making sure everything is for those who need it most. If we had a donation system that was opt-out, you could probably see rates like 80% or 90%, or even an increase in 10% would see most of those 21 people gone. Most of those 21 people who die every day would be dramatically shortened. It's estimated that if we were able to hit this 90% mark, we would not have people dying from missing an organ transplant. That sounds like a fantastic goal, but we keep it the opt-in system as opposed to the opt-out. And I don't know what the argument here is. With the opt-in system, yes, if you have some religious reason to not do it, that's understandable, but you could just opt out in the opt-out system as opposed to the opt-in system leaves people out by default. This is less of a question overall. I just struggle to understand why we have this insistence on an opt-in system as opposed to the opt-out system. There are some problems which have been portrayed. It brings up an ethical trolley problem. The idea that, maybe people will go out in gangs to kill people in such a way that their organs may be used. If one man comes into your hospital and he's healthy and you could kill him to save 5 other people, or 7 if you're Will Smith, then would you do it? Ethically, no. The Hippocratic Oath says do no harm. But not all Americans have taken the Hippocratic Oath. So would we see a rise in crime? I have high doubts, but you might have a different opinion on this. I'm just saying that the U.S. should use an opt-out system as opposed to an opt-in system. It's dramatically more effective and could save many lives. First subway robberies, and then the human remains found outside the research center, and now we just have vandalism related to professor with abuse allegations. It is never a boring day in Austin. And now, as I get shooed away from the building, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. It has been a fantastic time doing this with you, Justice. Can't wait to see you guys. I can't wait to see what you say on Thursday. And I would absolutely love, if anyone has a comment, a response to today's topic, or a future topic available, please contact us in the comments below. Have a good week. Remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you haven't already, and we'll see you on Thursday.